Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and you asked, today you get your just reward. Girl, you wanted to see this Hourglass Lighting Unlocked palette so badly. I put it in another video and just like a question I asked you guys. I was like, hey, in the comments, let me know if you guys want to see a video on this. You guys were like, yes, we want to see it. I want to see it on your skin. I want to see how it works. Does it blend? Is it worth the money? So, holy crap, am I excited, because I have been using this palette an absolute shit ton. This is not a first impression, and I have got some tea. So, we're gonna start off in an overview sense, if you will. So the first thing I want to mention is that this is the Lighting Edit Unlocked palette. This was released about a month or two ago, and then coming up is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Volume 4. I'm reading it off their website because it all is such a jumbled thing, but basically that is their holiday collection, and if you've seen it, it is the one with the more purple metallic packaging, whereas this one is like that standard taupey bronzy kind of color, again, versus the purpley one. Now, I will have the purple one. It is on its way. It's not here yet. And as soon as I get that palette, that video will probably go up next week, and I plan to take that, compare it in swatch and in use and in all of that, compare it to this one, and kind of give you an overall feel of the differences. That way, if you already bought one, you'll know if you need to buy the other. So, for today, we are just going to focus on this one, but I wanted to let you guys kind of know the overall scope of where I'm going with this, because if you're like me, you're going, holy shit, I already spent $80 on this guy right here. Do I need to spend another $80 on the other one? So, that is what we are diving into today, yes. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to jump into the description box. I am reading this off of the Hourglass website, which is where I purchased this, but you can get it from, I believe, Beautylish as well. I think their holiday collection is also available on Beautylish, but let's just dive in. So this says, introducing the next generation of the coveted ambient lighting edit. The Unlocked Edition features 6 new exclusive shades of powder, bronzer, and blush, and metallic strobe powder. This 100% vegan palette features the Hourglass symbol, representing our commitment to being a cruelty-free brand. A portion of the profits from this palette will go to support the Non-Human Rights Project, the only civil rights organization in the United States working to secure legal recognized fundamental rights for non-human animals. Alright, so if we break down what all of that means, I hate that they use the word ambient before every blush and the word filter and all of that, but if I broke down Hourglass to be 2 words, it would just be soft filter. It doesn't matter what product you're applying, if it's a blush, a bronzer, a powder, a highlight, they have such a way with their products of just sitting into and like sinking into your skin. They look seamless, they look airbrushed. I find that when I apply their products, they don't emphasize texture. They veil the skin. And that's why when Hourglass first came out with their, which I actually have right here, their Veil Translucent Setting Powder, it is such a fitting name for their type of products, because they are the ultimate veil for your skin. And I was going through this palette, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to review it, and here's the thing. I could have just like sat and swatched it and been like, okay, it's a good palette, okay, bye, have a good day. And I could have made this video like 7 minutes long, because it doesn't require a ton of explanation. But then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, why not just apply it on camera, show you guys what I'm talking about and how I use it, because I am very, very fair skin tone, and so as a fair person, I have to, use these a little bit differently. Now, when I first looked at this palette, I was really taken back. I didn't think there was any way in hell that this would be like something a deeper skin tone can use, because like I look at it and I'm like, okay, wait a second. I have really fair skin and the bronzer is too dark for me, which is good because I can mix it and make it work for me, which would make it work for the lighter end of things into the medium end of things. Now, the only thing I can't say for sure, and I don't know, is I have no way of knowing if this would work for a deeper skin tone. They have one picture on their website, which I will hold up right here, or at least attempt to, so you can kind of see that there is, like, they represent 2 skin tones, but my question is, how deep is that skin tone really compared to like the depths that we know skin tones to go? Should there have been deeper qualities to this? Should that bronzer maybe have been a little bit deeper? I don't know. I've talked about this 1,000 times and I will never stop. I believe that if you're going to make a palette for everyone that's only one version of itself, it needs to work for everyone. Anyways, you guys, all of that to say, I do think that this would work on anyone from like a light skin tone through a medium deep skin tone. I'm not sure how deep you'd be able to go, but this bronzer is very buildable, very luxe. And if I'm able to like sheer it down and work for my lighter side, I know that it builds up beautifully, and I have seen it on other skin tones. I'm just not 100% sure how deep that spectrum would go. So, you know, definitely kind of take a look at it, look at some swatches if that's something that you're concerned about. But for the most part, I do find their bronzers and their products in general to be super duper buildable. Whether or not the undertone will work for you is a whole totally different story. I find that by mixing these three colors, I'm almost mixing a little bit of an undertone, and it also helps with the overall like look on my face. Because I'm so fair, typically I have to pull a lot more cool tones, and these are not nearly as cool as I would normally go. Typically I prefer to stick with something much cooler like Princess Cut from the Park Ave Princess palette. So just as like a frame of reference here, I am used to this shade right here. As you can see, I use it all the time. That is my preferred shade. You can see how nice and cool tone it is compared to all these other shades. And then like looking at this guy right here, you're like, that's the bronzer. Not cool at all. So I do find that by mixing it, I'm able to make it work. So here's what I'm gonna do. I take my blurring powder brush. This is an IT Cosmetics dual fiber brush, big fluffy dual fiber. I've loved this brush for this palette for a minute now. It has been my favorite. And I actually I start at the lighter end, I drag through all three of these, but I only grab most of my product, like I'd say 80% I grab between these two lighter tones over here, and I grab just a touch of bronzer, and then obviously we tap off, and then I just kind of go in and I work on just bronzing my face. Now, one of my, why am I using the viewfinder when I should be using a mirror? Good question, Paige. Okay, now, couple reasons that I really love this bronzer and this palette in general. Number one, I love how buildable this bronzer is. So, let me break that down. I already said, like, you know, you can build it, skin tones, yada yada, but for me, I find that this bronzer, this palette in general, works for no matter what type of skin I want. If I want a really nice, light, airy look to the skin, so light coverage or light to medium coverage, just a chill makeup day, I use this palette and I sheer it down and everything works great. If I want a super intense, like deep, crazy makeup look, I use this palette, I deepen it up, and I get the same effect. This is not the type of palette that you have to be like, oh, I only want like harsh makeup today, so this won't work, or oh, I want lighter, more natural makeup, this won't work. No, this makeup, this palette, this will work for you regardless. I have used this on my lightest makeup days where I literally had like just concealer all over my face, and I still went in and I used just a touch of this, and it doesn't look harsh. It looks so natural and filtered over the skin, and it worked, and it just went in and added the tiniest bit of dimension to my skin. Again, on like the most natural of days. Today is a more in-between day for me. It's not super intense, super full coverage. I just went in with my MAC Studio Fix powder here. This is an NC10, and I've actually just started using this color. I really love it. But I just went in with that today with a little bit of concealer underneath, and it is like the most perfect amount of coverage for a more light office wear kind of day. And I find that when I build this bronzer up, it just, you can do so many things with this and make it as wearable as you need it to be. Now, I love that, obviously, but what I really love about this and how I mix it for my skin is that, look at how, oh my god, like how pretty is that? I love that when I mix these three colors right here, these two first colors, like when I was going through the description, and I told you guys that these first two are powders, and then this is the bronzer. So the deal with Hourglass is that they actually have what they basically call like a finishing powder, where you take it and you like blur it over your face, and it's like a powder. You know how when you have a primer, okay, and it's meant to be a blurring primer, so you put it on and it's meant to like filter out your pores and your fine lines and make everything look more seamless. That's what these are, but they're in powder form. So you put on, say, your blush, and say you're like, oh wow, that's a little intense, or I can see some pores or whatever. You can take that and go over your blush or over your bronzer, and it just helps to veil everything into your skin. It helps minimize the look of like weird bumps, or like, because I have texture or pores or whatever it is you're dealing with, and those powders really go in and they just help meld everything into the skin, which is amazing. And because I mix my bronzer with those two, I'm getting all of that in one. I'm getting the color from the bronzer, which is giving me that beautiful toned look on my face, but then I'm also able to get that nice filtered effect from those powders, and it just helps my whole face and everything really meld together. And then I just take a little bit on the edge of this brush right here, and I kind of hit it on the sides of my nose. I don't go too crazy because I I'm lazy. Okay, so anyways, now that we have some bronzer, look at, oh my god, looks so good. Now we're gonna dive in with a fluffier brush, and this is just the Morphe, I don't know what, but it's a big old fluffy brush. And I like to take this and I dive into both of these blushes at once. You can go one or the other. Again, depending on if you want like a more natural look or whatnot, totally, obviously, your prerogative. I like to mix both just because one is more of a satin while the other one has shimmer to it, and I think that adding both to the cheeks is just like so stinking pretty. Oh my god, I love these blushes. They have that like very nice kind of filtery look built into them, and they just sit so beautifully on the cheeks, like, oh. And then if you feel like, oh, I went too much or I did too much, or you just want to filter them out, yet again, you can go in with those first two powders in the palette and you can use those powders to veil over top of them. Like, let's say, okay, right here, that's a little bit much, whatever. We don't like that. We go in and we grab another brush, which I should have had this brush already lined up, but I wasn't thinking this far ahead. Hello, brushes. Okay, I found one. So this is just the Wet n Wild, also not labeled. It's more of a large, fluffy kind of powder brush situation. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to dive into this first shade right here. It's the lightest, obviously, the lightest shade in the palette, but it is just that filtered effect. And what we're going to do is I want to take this, and I'm going to buff it into this area right here. And you can watch it just like melt, not just the color, because you're not in this to like melt the color away, but it has this way of just like making everything seamless and making everything just go right where you want it to, and just like, I'm crazy about that. I don't even know if it'll show up on camera, but what it does to my skin and the way that it makes me look, there's actually a lot of people that because Hourglass makes, I just choked a little, Hourglass makes these like obviously individually, not these colors, because these are like new colors or whatever, but they have a finishing powder, and there's a lot of people that it's this same type of powder, and when they finish their face, like blush, bronzer, right before they do highlight, they will not complete their routine without taking an Hourglass finishing powder and veiling their entire face. So they will actually like dive in and just like hit every area on their face, because these powders have a way of melting not just everything into your skin, but melting it into like all the other products and making everything look like it's so naturally just like veiled onto your skin. Veil is veil. Soft focus and veil are the words that I would use to describe Hourglass. Oh my god. And like how beautiful and like soft does that look? Now, for me personally, you guys know the drill. I go in always really heavy with bronzer and blush. This isn't super heavy, but I do. It's a thing. So I love to go in, and I still do grab my Park Ave Princess shades on. This is just like an old beauty blender. I haven't washed it, but I take a clean-ish side. And I do this just because I love the brightening effect. If this palette had a brighter option in it, I would definitely just use that. And I just take this and I lightly tap into this area because I love that brightness. That is the only thing for me that this palette doesn't have. Now, I did try doing this with this powder right here, but it's not quite bright enough or light enough for my skin tone because, like I said before, they did make this palette suitable for multiple skin tones. So it's not bright enough for me personally, but if you have a skin tone that would work for that, it would be a really nice, beautiful, brightening type powder. But for me, I just go in with this, and it's not that big of a deal because I do this literally every day, so I'm like, okay, whatever. And I just use this to kind of, you know, reshape out this area a little bit, and I kind of dot it over the top, and bam, we are nice, we are bright, we have a hair in our mouth, and we are ready to move on. Now, let's also talk about something else I love to do. I've talked about this before, and in a couple of my videos, you guys have asked me where I'm talking about the Park Ave Princess palette, and I will say that I took this bronzer right here on the very end, and I worked that into my crease for my eyes, just so I have a little color there. I don't need anything crazy or fun. Well, guess what? I do the same thing with this guy right here. I take this dark bronzer, and I work that into the crease. Just super easy, super quick, nothing crazy. Let's find, you know what, this brush will probably work. This is the Morphe E27 brush. It's just a big old fluffy brush here, and I just take just the bronzer by itself, swirl my brush around in it, tap it off, and then I just work on setting that down right on in the socket right here and working it through. Okay, so finally it is the best time, the time for highlight. This is the Hourglass Urban Decay Setting Spray. I always spray before I do my highlight just to melt it all in because your girl loves setting spray. Did you hear that squeak in my voice? I love it. Seriously, I love setting spray. I love spraying it. I love that feeling of everything just like coming together and forming one veil of cuteness on my face. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, guys, you see this little pan right here? Do not let her fool you, girl. She is potent. It might be a little pan. She might look like she is all sweet and innocent, but girl, she will get you. We are taking a nice little brush right here. This is just the Wet n Wild. It's like a smaller kind of fan brush. You can use like the Morphe Y, what is that, 16 or something, 15, 814. I don't know. You can use those types, like the thinner, more pencil style highlight brushes. I'm just using this because it's what I had in front of me, and it does have to be something that will fit in this pan. One of my favorite highlight brushes is actually this one from Furless, but as you can see, this ain't gonna work. So it does have to be something manageable, something that you can fit in here. So I take this, and you just gotta go in ever so gently, and let me tell you, girl, be ready for magic. Are you ready? Woo, 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 woo. Girl, she is coming for your brand and your life and your mama and your daddy and your husband. Oh my God, look at it. Oh my God. You guys, this highlight, it kills me on like a spiritual level. I can't even, well, the best part is that I'm looking at a viewfinder and I can't even hardly see it, but I know it's there. Oh, hello, Paige. That's probably enough for one cheek. Like, I love this so much. My only issue, like, wait, okay, this side might be better. Hold on, wait for it. Oh, yes. I love this highlight. It is so buildable, but at the same time, if you want to use it as like a light overall sheen, you can do that. You don't have to build it up and have it be intense. Like, I've used this on a no makeup day where I just had concealer, and I popped the tiniest bit of this like on my, I almost said my brow bone. This is a cheekbone, and I took it and I dropped just a little bit of it up here, like a tiny bit, a little bit on my forehead up here, tiny on my nose, and then a little on my collarbone just to like bring everything together. And it worked so beautifully. Like, this is such a beautiful transient highlight. The only thing that I'm not like obsessed with about this highlight, if I'm being 100% honest, is the mess that it makes in the pan, because it's really like flaky and glittery, I guess you could say, in the pan. It does kick up quite a bit. I know you're not gonna be able to see it, but it does make quite a mess. Now, I don't like it, because I don't like to waste product. So like, this is me always going in and like scooping into the edges, like trying to get the last little bit of highlight. And then I take this on my finger, obviously, boom, right here, and then we just pop a little bit on the eyeball, and that just really brings home like this nice glowy look. This is a lot of people like what they wear in summer, and I'm over here like, hello, your girl's gonna wear it all year long because it's so pretty and so easy. And let's face it, your girl don't always got time to like be doing some fancy ass cut crease. Sometimes you just gotta get some makeup on and go out the door. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta go. Oh, girl. Okay, so now all I need is some mascara. And one final setting spray. Girl, mascara and one final setting spray. Morphe, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you guys, went ahead. I got everything all finished up. I went ahead, threw on my mascara, and then my 904 Color Riche lipstick from L'Oreal. The shade is 904 Varnished Rosewood, in case you were wondering. Beautiful pink color. This one and the color, what is this one? 910 Shining Peach. These are my two favorite colors. Again, if you were wondering, which nobody asked, but just unsolicited information. So let's finish up my little discussion about this Hourglass palette. As I said before, 6 pans, 2 blushes, 2 filters, a bronzer, and a highlight, all well and good. Now, the size of these pans is 0.04 a piece. Now, I have talked 1,000 times about this, what I think a good pan is and is not. That is a really small, in my opinion, seemingly shitty pan size. The only reason that I give it a pass is that I don't have any other way to say it. The quality is so high that I'm not obsessed with the amount of product that I get. See, I stutter at it. I am the type of person that when I start thinking about product, I am very stringent. You guys know this about me. I'm very strict on like, what is a good pan size and how much product do I expect to get? These Park Ave Princess ones, like, hello, I expect a nice big old fat pan. And with that being said, like, can I honestly sit here, I'm very busy, can I honestly sit here and advocate to you guys that I think you need this $80 thing and oh my God, you have to have it or you're not gonna live and da da da. I can't, because for the price and the amount of product you get, the reality is that it's not a lot. However, this is that one instance where I don't give a shit that I get less product, because I find that this product is so good that I would pay $80 for this over and over again. I love it. I love their bronzers. I love their products. And I feel like if you're buying Hourglass, you know that you're buying quality over quantity. And this is a huge thing. Not to say that with other things like this, you're not buying quality, because I love this palette. And again, I talk about it all the time. And for the amount of product you get in here, this is half the price of this, literally. And then it's like 3 times the value. However, you're not getting this type of quality. Hourglass, when you buy it, you are buying You're buying everything. You're buying that filtered effect. You're buying the product. You're buying the name. You're buying what the brand stands behind. They stand behind being, like we read in the description, 100% cruelty-free, and how they back the non-human project. And you're really buying this idea of makeup and the quality, the standard that you can be held to as a brand while still being ethical and 100% on track with what you stand for as a person and stuff like that. So I guess make no mistake, I love this palette. I think it is absolutely amazing. I would buy it again in a heartbeat. At $80 or not, I would buy it again. But do I think I should sit here and ever tell you, like, you have to have this or you're not going to get a good look or what? No, absolutely not. You can get very similar things at the drugstore. You can get amazing products everywhere. I have never seen a product give me the filtered ambient look like the ambient bronzer or the ambient blush that I get from Hourglass. It is in a world unlike its own, but do you need it to create a look? Absolutely not. And more than that, should you ever feel bad, and this is something I feel like we need to really talk about in the community, makeup community, in the world in general, should you ever feel bad as a person that you can't afford or don't want to pay $80 for something like this? You shouldn't. Because I feel like we live in such a time where it's like, oh, we have to keep up with the Joneses, and if this person says it's good, I have to have it, or I love their car, I need a new car, I should just extend my payments, or no, don't get yourself so wrapped up into the world, whether it's makeup or otherwise, that you can't see. Like, if you love what you love and you have products that you love from the drugstore or from Sephora or Ulta or wherever, and you love them, that's great, and keep doing that. And you shouldn't feel like you need to change what works for you or your routine just because other people come along and say that something is really good. If you watch this for entertainment, awesome. If you watch it for information, awesome. If somebody says, hey, I want to buy you something really nice, what would you like? And you put this on a list, absolutely. You won't be upset about that. But at the end of it, I don't ever want to come on here and make you guys ever feel less because you don't have something. And I want you to know, I probably don't say this enough, honestly, you don't need really high-end products to be a high-end person or to create a high-end look. Who you are and what you do in your day isn't defined by the $80 palette or the $8 palette you put on your face. Like, that's just, I know it sounds corny and weird and cheesy and all those things that I try to avoid, but I just wanted to say it one last time because I don't feel like I say it enough. I can sit here and review $80 palettes all day long. This is amazing. I love it. But absolutely, at the end of the day, don't feel less because you don't have it, because we've all been there. And quite frankly, who's to say we won't all be there again? Like, we've all been through shitty places and went through weird stuff and weird spells, and we all just go through it together. And all we do is we come here and we hang out and we talk about makeup, which I think is great. So at the end of it, if you came here for the review, I love the palette. I think it's great. Hopefully next week I will have the comparison between this Hourglass and their new one that they just released for the holiday collection. I think it's just their lighting number 4 palette. But we're going to go through those, talk about it. It looks beautiful. It looks very promising. I'm very excited to play with it. So hopefully that is coming soon. I want you guys to leave all of your thoughts down below. What are your favorite products from Hourglass? What do you love? Did you like this kind of video where it wasn't just like a talk through? I really wanted to go through, show you how I use them, why I love them, that kind of thing. And I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Leave all that down below. So while you're down there, go up, check out my Instagram and my Twitter. And you guys, above all else, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Of their, what is that? Part of their holiday collection. Okay, I hated it. I got a boo-boo. I scratched my face. This is what happens when you get too excited, Paige. You got to learn to calm down. Shh. Very busy. I'm trying to calm down. Okay, wow. If I want things to look blended, if I want things to just be like the most sexy version of themselves, shh, I'm being sexy. Now, at first, when I first looked at this palette, that was really redundant. At first, when I first looked at this palette in the first day, on the first day of school. So, number 1, because this bronze